Pedro, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you, Ryan.
Pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, same here. My pleasure.
So, Animal Flow.
Yeah, a fitness program in its essence.
Yeah.
But then, so much more than that. An active meditation, like we were talking earlier. An opportunity to play again like a little kid in the ground. An invitation to fully connect with your body and with as many parts as possible. So, and an all-around movement practice too, on top of just a fitness program.
You shared with me a bit before we started the podcast, but I'd love for you to give context to the listeners as well of how you got into this, because it's kind of an unconventional path into something like this. So maybe you could share with us the story.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was born in the US and I grew up in Argentina. I played football, soccer for over 20 years. That was my main movement practice, which has a lot of movement awareness, like any sport. But I feel like the big shift is that, in my case, the sport represented an opportunity for me to connect with my body for something external that was to play better, to connect better with the ball, to connect better with my team, to win something. There was a lot of competition involved. And at some point in my life, all of those things were gone in a way, like they were not satisfying me anymore. I got to a point where maybe after a time of winning for a year or two and then suddenly starting to lose, and that resulted in really weird energy within my team. My relationship to the sport coincided with a transformation in life. One of the outcomes was that I stopped playing football and I started training in a Shaolin temple, Kung Fu. So 360 change, and that was because a friend told me, hey, do you know there's a Shaolin temple a couple minutes away from your house, and that could serve you to connect back with your body and try something new. And
could you explain what a Shaolin temple is?
Yeah, so in China there's a Shaolin city, and Shaolin is Kung Fu style. They have northern and southern. I train in a northern Shaolin temple. And Kung Fu, it's an ancient martial art. Yeah, Shaolin monks are those classic monks, with the orange robes, some of them with gray, but for the most part orange, bold, and they are this absolute warriors, destroying bricks with their hands and doing crazy stuff. I was never into that. I was never into combat, but on the beginning of a Kung Fu journey, you learn forms. So they are like movement sequences, that they have a lot of kicks and punches and jumps, but it's not that we are fighting against someone else. We are just learning how to manipulate our body and how to breathe through those forms. And in 1 year, I learned 3 forms, and it completely changed my relationship with my body. I became flexible, mobile. I learned how to breathe while doing this stuff. And the most important thing for me was I connected back to myself, because there was no competition here. There was no external purpose. It was just an internal journey of, okay, how can I improve doing this, but just for myself? I don't need to show this to anyone. This is just for me. Completely different to a sport in that sense. Some people can live a sport in different ways, but that's the way I lived it. So after training a year in that Shaolin temple, I moved away from Argentina, and I couldn't continue that specific practice in Peru, where I lived for a year. I was in Lima, Peru, when I saw someone doing Animal Flow online. Animal Flow has a martial aspect. We were just doing side kicks, and there are front kicks. So I saw this woman from Jordan. I actually met her recently. I went to Jordan, but I saw a video of her doing these kicks, and I was like, oh, I like that. It's like Kung Fu, but in the ground. And then I investigated a little bit, and it was called Animal Flow, and it's this fitness program. An American guy called Mike Fitch, an amazing human being. He created this system using elements from different movement disciplines. He meshed them all up in this beautiful system that is very accessible for people. It has different levels and like the ABCs, very, very digestible. And I decided to give it a try. I took a workshop to become an instructor. And at the time, in 2018, in Peru, no one knew what animal flow was. Less in all South America, it was like people had no idea what animal flow was. And even today, like some people, you mention animal flow and they're like, oh, what is that? Like, oh yeah, we're going to just play like animals or something like that. So I thought, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for me to share something with people. So it was like taking the journey a step further where, okay, now this is not just for myself. I can also teach it to someone. I can serve people. I can invite them to move, to reconnect with their bodies, to reconnect with the ground. So yeah, I found this beautiful opportunity. I experienced myself the benefits for the first 6 months, let's say, while I was living in Peru. And then I came back to Argentina and I started teaching. And then it's been 8 years now that I'm obsessed with this practice. And I've been teaching it many different places. I have a specific role in the Animal Flow community. That is, I am the Animal Flow Master Performance Coach, which could be another story or another question if you want. But yeah, that's how I ended up doing this and serving through movement.
Well, now you are known in Nosara for sure as the animal flow guy.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about animal flow, like, I'll pay. Like Pedro,
Yeah.
that's the guy. And movement is so well known here. There's so many classes and things and people that facilitate, and yet you are the one that's kind of at the top in this community. And I didn't know the master performance coach side of things. So yeah, I would love to hear more about what that is. What does that mean?
Yeah, one of the components of this practice is called flow. And again, this is not about mimicking animals. We use animal locomotion patterns. We have a component called traveling forms, where we use these patterns to train our body, right? To work on our mobility, flexibility, strength, coordination. And then we learn the moves by themselves and we put them together into flows. When it comes to that, the possibilities are infinite. You can do any kind of flow. There are endless combinations. What started to happen is, because I did it so much, because I drilled over and over the moves and different flows, and I was watching people writing the flows. Animal Flow has a very specific language, which is a big component of the system too. So at that point, I got to a point where I now had an opportunity to think less and feel more. I know exactly how to do a side kick through. I've done a million side kick through. It became a matter of, how do I want to do this? I know exactly what I have to do. The ranges of motion are there. Like, my body is enjoying and knows exactly how to perform this move. But what if I add a little bit of style and just hold it for an extra second, or add on some movement with the eyes to create some kind of impact? What if I play with like going in fast into it and coming, or opposite, like just playing with tempo changes and the way I transfer my energy as I move. Those little nuances created visual impact more so than just physical training. After some years of sharing videos on social media, performing these flows that I was creating with these complex transitions and stuff, yeah, I got a call from Mike, and he told me that he had this idea of the master performance coach role for me to work with instructors to take their practice to a next level, which I thought it was amazing, and I'm super grateful. Thank you, Mike, always. As much as I love to teach animal flow from scratch, I absolutely love that, and I think it's very important, and it's part of the journey. I also love to work with instructors and get together with people that already know what animal flow is, and they know the names of the moves and the details. How do you feel when you do this? And what do you want to express when performing this combination or this entire flow? So that's what I've been working the last 2-3 years, traveling more to work with animal flow instructors rather than just spreading the word of the system.
Gotcha. As you advance in this, and you keep saying it's not physical, and I think some people get it, theoretically, like, oh, I see, there's breath involved. How do you see it translate the more you advance in animal flow into other areas of life? Like, what do you see the translations to relationships, to connection to nature, to anything else, how you operate in business and life?
Beautiful question. Two things come up. First, there's one component that I think is nature, and then the other component that is relationships. When it comes to nature, I love going into the jungle here. There's a beautiful jungle right in front of me. And I love just climbing trees and doing hikes. And every single time I go into those scenarios, just naturally I lean into animal flow, not necessarily doing a flow in the middle of nature, although I love to do it too. But the way I use my body to communicate with a tree, with the rocks, with the earth, even sometimes with the water, it becomes a natural understanding of the rhythm of my own body to go through this path or that path. And what if I reach with this hand first and then I do a contralateral limb lifting in order to have a better access into a specific area of nature. So in that sense, it's beautiful. It makes me feel more confident when I'm in nature. It's just like merging with the environment. And yeah, just being in the ground, it's so important when it comes to that. We're so not used anymore to put our hands in the floor. So when you have your hands in the floor, you're way more safe when it comes to climbing trees or hiking at a steep waterfall. Plus the benefits that just putting our hands and our feet in contact with the ground has with, the millions of receptors we have both in the soles of our feet and in the palms. And that creates a full balance within the minerals. And it is just so beneficial and it feels so good. When it comes to relationships, something I love about animal flow is that there's a lot of respect involved. When we were just doing that simple stuff, you were trusting me, your body. You are in a position that could be vulnerable. Just a quadrupedia, for some people, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that right in front of you. It could be a vulnerable position. It's like they are close to the ground on all fours. And so there's something very valuable about doing stuff like this next to another human being, because it's like playing with the other person's heart right there. It's like, this is who I am. This is my body. This is how I breathe. So if you are okay with that, if you're creating a safe space for me to show you that, then that's a bond that is created right away. And that translates very much in the animal flow community and the way we all relate, because imagine this with 40 people. So that means 40 different bodies doing the same thing on their own way, but with a lot of respect. And there's no, like I was saying, there's zero competition within the animal flow community. It's like everybody's perfect wherever they at, and we can, all of us, do a same flow. And yes, some people are going to go faster or slower, but we continue to respect each other, and we start together and we finish together. There's this saying in the animal flow community that animal flow is a solo practice that we love to do together. So with that being said, I feel like it allows me a more compassionate understanding for whatever journey the other person is going through in whatever aspect of their lives. And just, again, this thing of creating a safe space. And you can come to me and we can have a conversation because I respect your body, the way you breathe and the way you speak. That puts me in a position, and you in a position of safety to relate. In that sense, I think it's helpful.
Yeah, so many great things. What about presence? Because I feel out of the many people in my life, you have one of the greatest levels of presence. Obviously in animal flow, but in other things. I've seen you in many different environments. We collaborate on things. I've seen you in dance environments. I've seen you in work environments. You have such a level of presence about you. Do you feel like that was cultivated through animal flow? And then how do you feel like that then comes into your life more? Because presence, I think, is something that everybody could use more of, myself included. And if we have more presence, then we're doing it. We're living life because we're actually here for it. And I feel like you have access to that more than a lot of people that I know.
Thank you. Well, I mean, a big component of presence, I believe, it's the breath. And in that sense, I feel like Kung Fu was very important in that process of being fully in my breath and being able to connect with my breath no matter what is happening around me. And coming back to my breath, I think it's very important to practice presence. And then, I mean, definitely, I feel like it's a combination of all the things I've been doing in life. I wouldn't necessarily connect presence with the animal flow portion of my life, but it definitely enhanced it because, again, it's just tuning into, my most authentic expression. When I do animal flow, as much as I love to keep an eye on the little details and the nuances of each move, the invitation is to show up with your most authentic expression. More and more, I'm feeling comfortable to do it in front of people and not just teaching, but also performing for other people. I started doing that recently. I'm becoming more and more comfortable practicing full presence when I have 30 people watching. I think it's a combination of all the things that I've been doing. Definitely the breath, it's key. And, breathing in through the nose. It sounds silly, but just inhaling through the nose as much as you can every time brings oxygen into your brain. And then it's like, okay, now I'm more focused and I can breathe.
Well, in the movement practice that you do, the guided one, it'd be really cool if you could bring the breath component in as you do so well. I catch myself in movement, especially coming to mouth breathing. And I've, background in breath work, and I'm very aware a lot of time.
Yeah.
I'm out surfing or I'm this, I'm like, bring it back, bring it back. And it's a constant reminder to come back to that, but it slows and it drops. I imagine animal flow is so essential. We did a little movement before this, like 5 minutes, and I was sweating already.
Warmed up.
For the average person listening, why is animal flow and or something similar to this idea of primitive, for in your case performative, but not necessarily, just like movements that are irregular, right? We're not going to the gym, lifting weights. We're not doing a linear path of training. We're doing things that are non-linear, using the full body almost in every movement. With animal flow, every time I move, my whole body's engaged. I'm so used to isolating muscles to train. We're not isolating in that way. We're isolating in how we move, but in non-linear ways. Why is this important for the average person?
Well, it is important to have variety in your training. I can lift some weight using my left arm. Instead, if I do a side kick through, I'm working with my arm, leg, and my core is active, keeping an eye on where I'm looking. It becomes an all-round movement, motion, which again brings us to presence. If you want to be fully present doing what you're doing, animal flow, there's no other chance. Like, you cannot be thinking on something else when you're doing a crab reach. It's like you're trying to remember the little details that are going to help you perform it correctly, quote unquote, because I also like to think there's no incorrect or correct movement. There's just variety and options. Presence, again, because you can be lifting a weight in the gym, but you could be thinking on whatever, and you can still be doing this. If you want to practice presence, then a mindful movement practice, it's very important. For sure, for longevity too, for the spine, like the movement of the back and the core, we are activating them all the time when we're doing animal flow. We use a lot of the contralateral limb liftings, and we have a chain of muscles that goes from one foot to the opposite hand. So that line crosses whenever we're doing, like you were saying, multi-planar movements. So we're doing in sagittal, in transversal. So it's a multi-planar movement, which gives you the sensation of, okay, there's a little bit of flexion here, there's extension here, there's rotation, there's everything involved in some of the moves, especially the switches and transitions component.
One of the things I liked most about what you said is that you can take it to the jungle. The bicep curl doesn't necessarily translate to climbing a tree. What I like about what you teach, and we were talking about this the other day, climbing up a river, because we did an adventure this past weekend to a waterfall, and we're climbing up the river. This is animal flow in action. We're literally doing the thing. We don't have to go to the classroom. We don't have to go to the gym. We don't have to go, it's everywhere. The training ground is life. The training ground is I'm on the beach and I'm moving in the sand. There's a log I want to pick up. There's a rock, a tree, and just exploring how to move through nature. That's a game changer for me. And I know for many people as well, to be able to train for life, not just for aesthetic, to actually be able to move better in life and have longevity. I think that is something that there's just not many ways that you can train in the gym that provide that same level of ability in the body.
100%. And what you just said is perfect. There's nothing to be added. We use it in every scenario, and we are training for life, like you're saying. Two things are coming up. I've had, in the last few years, parents coming to want to train me because they want to be able to play with their kids. And it sounds silly, but it is important. And if you are not used to go to the ground, then you're going to hurt your wrist, or you're going to do a deep squat because you never spend time in a deep squat position and your kid is this high. So if you're always here, you're going to miss an opportunity there. So a lot of people have come with that sense, and I think it's so important. And it's so important not just for your kid, because your relationship with the actual kid of yours that is walking around, but also with your inner kid. The inner kid that you once were, because at some point you were also playing all the time through the ground. That's how you learned how to walk, how to crawl, how to travel around. So there's still so much value in that part of the process, and we just nix it because, okay, got it. We did it when I was 1 to 4. Okay, done. Come back now, you'll see that you can do very cool stuff. And, in the little video, you'll see 2 moves, but they feel good and they look good. Imagine if you train for a year and you learn the different moves, you can create a super cool flow that is it's an all-around training, targeting all of your joints, all of your articulations. It has mobility, it has flexibility, it has strength through motion. It's not, you're not gonna see your biceps pumped like it gets pumped after, 100 reps of curl. But you're gonna be strong and feel strong in your body. Also, we don't need anything to do this. If you depend on a machine or dumbbell, how do you call it? Pesas? If you depend on something, you need something, or a kettlebell. This, we don't need anything, and we don't need much space. Like you see, here we did a 2-movement flow, and it's like just a square. So in that sense, it's accessible and digestible for people.
The consistency and the lack of excuses you can come up with.
Exactly. There's no excuses.
I have 20 feet. I can do movement. We didn't need mats. We didn't need shoes. We didn't need anything.
You go to the ground, you can put together 2-3 moves. You can pick up, just pick 2-3 moves per day, create your own little sequence. That's it.
All available. To your point, to a couple points, the movement doesn't necessarily make your body like bigger in the way that a bodybuilder would, but the energy that you have with it and the longevity. I would love to see the research on people that do these kinds of movements versus bodybuilding on the long term, joints and otherwise, even runners, but being able to do these more primitive, more natural, low impact, low weight movements that are body weight specific. That's going to last a lot longer. And the energy that you have within your body that starts to get cultivated from that, because you don't need an external source. You don't need to blast music every time. You don't need to have the pre-workout before the gym. You are the resource. There's something about self-resourcing too that feels really powerful, really potent with these practices.
The music for me when I train is my breath. That becomes a rhythm, and that could be a flow being performed, and I could do that same breath, but I'm doing other stuff with the rest of my body while I'm doing it. I'm just listening to my breath. Yeah.
And then if it pops up, it pops up. Because I wanted to also double down the parenting thing. It's multifaceted. I love that you brought up for the kid and your inner kid. Keep playing, people. Keep playing. Always advocate that. And move as you're playing. Find play in movement. We love ecstatic dance every week. There's kids, there's adults, there's elders, there's everybody. Your kids replicate you. As a parent, if you're linear and only moving in particular ways, as that kid grows up, it's gonna wanna replicate the version of the adult self. So if you are moving as an adult in a playful, open way, that kid's not gonna lose that natural, innate essence of being a mover, someone that can naturally and organically move through spaces. You get to inspire it versus deteriorate that ability to express in a child. And I think as parents, that's such an important thing. I know that when I do become a parent, it's going to be such an important piece for me to lead by embodiment and to move 100%. As I would want to see expressed. Like my kids are coming to ecstatic dance every week for sure. To inspire them by the ways that I move. So I think as a parent, that is really important. And it's so cool to hear that parents are coming to you. I think that's a great invitation.
Because imagine if for 30 years you never do a single squat, you never spend time on the ground. Now suddenly I have 2 or 3 kids that are playing around, and it's like I have to pick them up. And that requires a little bit of mobility for sure to pick up, 20 kilos kid or, it's... So, and to your point, I agree 100%. And I love when I see kids in ecstatic dance because To have kids growing up seeing not just their parents, but all these other people doing all these crazy movements and just free expressing, beautiful environment full of people from all ages and backgrounds. I think it's very, very important. And I fully agree. They grow up with this tool, knowing that this is an option, that this is available.
What do you feel for the people listening? They're like, oh, this is great. Maybe I don't have the time to do an animal flow class, or they do, and they're going to reach out to you for more information on it. I highly recommend this guy. How would they start incorporating it in their days? I heard you mention the squat. I heard you mention a few movements. Are there things that they could do throughout their day, brushing their teeth, in between calls? And a lot of these people work at home. What are things we can do to start rewilding our bodies for animal flow, for primitive movements, for moving more naturally?
Definitely squatting, spending time in a deep squat. I cannot recommend that more. Just spending time in a squat. And it becomes a resting position. You can get to a point where you're resting in a squat and your hips are close to the ground, and it just feels so good. Trust me, it takes time, especially if you haven't done a squat in many years. If you're not gonna commit to take care of your body, what are you gonna commit to? Is the one last thing that you're gonna have until the very last second of your life. Like 1 second before you die, there's only one thing that you're gonna have with you, and it's your body. So why not take care of it? So squatting for sure, and then again, spending time in the ground. Bring your hands to the ground. See what happens. See what happens when you put some load into your shoulder. A key component here is that when we're standing up, all of the energy, all of the gravity is coming straight down into our body. So we're not literally holding that weight with our hips or knees. It comes straight into the head or shoulders, and we are designed to organize that gravity. Now, when we are in a quadruped, we have gravity coming into our shoulders, into our hips, into our knee, into our ankles. So we end up working on our joints from all these different angles when we're doing animal flow, which is going to make us more resilient. We're going to be more adaptable to change. When the surface change, you go to do a hike. Okay, now this is not an even surface where I can just walk. I need to solve this. If you do a little bit every day or a little bit every week of just spending time in the ground, moving, feeling your body, and this is the most intuitive action I'm speaking, and you can do it in your house. When you go from your bed to brush your teeth, if you want to, one day just crawl, see how that feels. I highly recommend it at least once or twice a week, a ground-based movement session. I mean, animal flow is one option out of a million options. There are so many different modalities that include ground-based movement. The options are there. Get playful, go to the ground, put yourself in an uncomfortable position. The first month, maybe you feel super weird. It's like, I don't find myself. Then that's exactly why you need to do it more. When you feel back in your body, you're gonna feel so good. Yeah, you're gonna feel that your body's more available. You can lift one leg and do whatever you want to with one leg. It's like you're open. That openness translates into an open heart, an open mind.
I've heard it called prehab, like instead of rehab, because you're training to be anti-injury. Right? Yeah. You're like becoming 100%. Anti-fragile in a way, where you're doing
building
rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Building resilience in the body, in the joints. You're preparing for the unpreparable. If you happen to crash on your bike, you're like, okay, I can fall. Even the ability to know different ways of being, this translates for me to the surf. Big set comes. How do I? It's hard to even train for that, but at least I have bodily awareness. At least I have strength in certain parts that I needed to be adaptable and ready for certain sports, certain avenues of movement, certain unpredictable environments.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I never done surfing, and I'm really curious. What I use the most is the earth, the solid surface. You don't have that in surf, but you have the board. So I wonder the positive outcome of ground-based movement when you're in the water. It may be more on your shoulder mobility and the way you swim, or the way your hip mobility when it comes to just standing in the board. That I'm pretty sure there's a lot of benefits in that sense.
You've shown me movements that have helped my surf. There are movements like turning and grabbing. It made me think about when I'm on the wave, how do I plant and I turn and I open, but this is engaged. It's not just a loose turning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very breath-based, intentional movement. Even just sitting on the board, there's people that can't stabilize. But if you're like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm solid, I have this grounded place, even though I'm in an ungrounded environment, there's water, but I can ground in because I've done the training on the ground. It'd be cool to go surfing sometime and just...
It's an edge for me, spending so much time in the water. I go to the ocean and 15 minutes after I was in, I'm like, okay,
You did it.
I'll be out.
Yeah. Ground-based animal.
Yeah,
Earth
exactly.
Animal.
I'm an earth animal.
Man,
Well, actually, I feel like in my case, I have such an air personality growing up and with my Gemini sun and my, I love spirituality and I love other planets and realms and dimensions and I love all that stuff, that I needed something that brought me down to the earth. So I always say that Animal Flow saved my life because I was completely lost on a mind level. Like, what am I doing in this planet? I don't know what to do. And I am still on that journey of figure. When you mention business and stuff, I'm like, oof, I wish there could be an animal, second animal here to help me with that, because I feel like I'm so much on subtle things that then the earthly daily human things, I'm working on them. I'm trying to get better at them.
People like you to guide people that are so far down those paths to bring back to present, back to body, back to the animal.
Yeah, I agree. And someone told me recently, a very powerful client that I have, and he's an amazing human being. He comes to Nasara quite a bit. He told me, it's interesting because it's way easier, and this is subjective and it's his opinion, but it's way easier to go from zero spiritual, like a full on, and again, I'm processing my thoughts, so be patient and compassionate with my terms. It may sound weird with the language, but like, let's say a businessman or someone completely into human stuff, it's easier for that person to walk and move towards a more conscious or spiritual lifestyle. Whereas if you are on the complete opposite, loving nature and loving the ocean and loving just heart-to-heart converse, it's harder for that person to move into where the first person is, to start to make money, to sell things, to create, to build. So maybe my responsibility or a purpose of mine is to bring people into the body, into the breathing, into the presence, into the consciousness. And I may be needing help, someone that can guide me in the realm of business, money, bureaucracy, or whatever. Just putting it out there.
Yes, it's all needed, the integration of the parts.
100%.
Which brings me to the question I ask every guest. What does it mean for you to be whole?
I believe whole means to be present, because I don't think there's an end to whole. If I'm whole today, then I'm not necessarily whole for the rest of my life. I feel whole if I'm acknowledging and embodying the way I feel right now. And that could not necessarily be like, oh, I'm feeling amazing. I could be feeling some negative things, or like, I can be in a process of becoming better at doing this or doing that. That doesn't take me out of my wholeness. I would say I am not whole if I'm not doing that. If I'm neglecting things that I know that they're there and I don't like them, and it's like I avoid. Like, avoidance is not being whole and presence is whole. Make sense?
Perfect. Love it, brother. Is there anything we didn't speak about that you want to make sure we mention or speak to?
No, I guess just a message of encouragement for whoever is watching this. And again, you're perfect wherever you're at within your movement journey. And you don't have to be super flexible or have great mobility or be super strong in order to do Animal Flow. What you want to have is the desire of finding a practice that you love. A practice that you're going to wake up then tomorrow and you're going to be wanting to do it. And that you're not going to neglect it. And, of course, what we were saying earlier, resting is a big part of the journey of movement or any movement practice. But finding something that you can have access to anywhere, anytime, and that you're going to feel good right away. And for me, Animal Flow is that. I can be having a shitty day And if I find a way to like, okay, come on, babe, go 10 minutes to the ground, do a little bit of this, boom, it immediately changes my mood. There's no way that my mood is not changed. So yeah, just finding a practice that you love, I feel like it's something very important.
Well, thank you for bringing your wisdom, your information, and your inspiration to this podcast. It's beautiful.
Thank you,
Beautiful to
Ryan.
know you and call you a brother.
What a pleasure, man.
And y'all will see after this episode, there's going to be a guided practice as well. So maybe the movement that he's talking about might be this guided video that you'll see and you can incorporate in your day. So check it out and all of Pedro's info to get connected with this beautiful man. See you soon.